Okay, we'll bring this meeting to order on the comprehensive permit application for Birch Street. First, I'd like to start off with some housekeeping things. The first one will be I have the minutes here of our last meeting. I would like to have a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Okay. Second and approved. All right. Now, obviously, everybody here knows, including the board and your representative, there's been a deluge of paper. Okay, so I'm going to ask Jerry Moody, so that we have an efficient meeting tonight, to bring the board members and the applicant up to date so that we're all reading from the same sheet of music. Okay? I'll turn it over to you, Jerry.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We sent to you all today or yesterday the most recent draft of the basic decision, which you've had a couple of earlier drafts, and Attorney Smolik and I have been back and forth. And this is the last version. In fact, I'm going to give you each a clean one, so that way I can get rid of paper too. Here's 3 more. There you go. And that's the last one that you got that by email recently, but there it is, clean and final. It's got those notations at the bottom, page 1 of 28, so we're all working from the same one. Now, you also received from me at various times possible conditions. And as you know, it has the regulatory conditions, general conditions in there, very similar to the other ones. And they've been vetted by Attorney Smolik and myself, and between us, we're in full agreement with those terms. The changes we made that I sent you red line copies on, that I had no problem with, the changes that I didn't want to make, and then he had ultimately no problem with that. So between he and I, we're in agreement on that. Separately, I sent to him and I sent to each of you this possible conditions. These are things that, in looking through the file, that I thought your board should consider as potential conditions. I'll give you my latest draft of that. And then Attorney Smolik has some reaction to that, and I don't think there's large disagreement, but maybe there is on one. And he's probably got some redrafts of that, to pass out here. So that's where that stands right now. And maybe the wise thing to do is to hear from Attorney Smolik on those issues and see where there's agreement or non-agreement, and then see what board members can begin to discuss these conditions and any others that you have in mind.
Okay, you got the floor.
On the bottom of the red button.
Looks like it.
You're good. Yeah.
Just tap it.
Okay, there you go.
And keep it close to your...
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and other members of the board. For the record, John Smolak, attorney for the applicant 88 Corp. Attorney Moody did describe exactly what had gone on, transpired in terms of our discussions. The initial draft decision was a very well drafted decision. We had some tweaks here and there that we had discussed. In addition, Attorney Moody did, I guess, just hand out a list of...
That list, as I sent it to you, of the possible...
Was the same? Okay.
That's the one as I sent it to you, yes.
Okay. Not to create additional piles of paper.
You will.
I have 2 options. You've incorporated Attorney Moody's special conditions into a revised draft decision, which I can hand out, or alternatively, I can just give you the changed pages.
But if they just change pages out of that total, maybe, I suppose...
Pagination's a little different. Pagination's a little different.
Whatever you think is best.
Well, why don't I just hand out these here? Okay. Thanks. Thanks. Okay.
Is this what you wanted? Yeah.
Thank you.
If you've already marked up the decision, these are just the replacement pages.
Those are the replacement ones, which you sent me earlier, right? So.
Right. Depends on what's easier for you to take a look at.
This is good. You can differentiate by that clip at the top from what I gave you. Yes.
So I'm not sure how you want to proceed in terms of review.
Yeah, I'd suggest you can, if I understand what you've done here, the last thing you passed out was page 18 of 30 through, so that incorporates the 13 special conditions that I gave to you.
Correct.
So you should probably point those out to the board and go over where those differ from what I gave you.
Okay.
And then the board can begin to discuss as to what they want to do with them all.
Everybody up to speed on what we're doing? What sheet of paper we got?
We're going to work off this smaller packet.
Right, okay. It starts with D, proof that. Okay, dig safe. 18 of 30.
Just to help the board too, the main decision, we're in agreement with Jerry,
Right.
correct?
Right.
So that's the reason why we're skipping ahead, and it's just a couple of the extra ones that Jerry put in, that they're still in here. It's just some of the wording
Okay,
we felt like had to be
right.
adjusted in here.
Okay,
So just for example, on this first item on the smaller sheets, condition number 17, there in the special conditions that Attorney Moody had identified, there was something about blasting. There is already a provision slightly different on blasting, so what I tried to do is tie condition 17 into which should be condition number D11 below instead of E. There's a typo there, but basically I want to tie it into the list of special conditions. And all the special conditions that were identified by Attorney Moody are on the next couple of pages, 21 to 29, which we envision or describe as just very minor changes. We just wanted to sort of clean up a few things. For example, there are some for example, number 5 was any further notice of intent. Should identify and clearly indicate permanent wetland impacts. And what I tried to do in the body of the decision was, in the event that there was a stormwater condition or a wetland-related condition, I wanted this to be sort of self-implementing. So if the Conservation Commission issues an order of conditions approving the project, then the issuance of that final order of conditions would indicate approval of this condition or fulfillment of that condition.
so that the Conservation Commission has the final say, and that's the...
On that piece, correct,
Okay.
correct. We figured that they're
Yes, we
charged
know.
with stormwater review anyway.
Okay.
So,
It makes it automatic.
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
okay.
And then just minor things on number 9. We just wanted to sort of correspond this to the rest of the terminology of plan of record, which is just the set of plans that are in Exhibit A. Again, minor changes, same with 10.
Plan of record, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I got that.
Same with 10s and 11. And again, this is the blasting condition, which we just wanted to tie in to the prior condition that was on the first page that you reviewed. So basically, any rock removal or blasting operations undertaken on the property or as part of the project, if any blasting occurs beyond the property, shall meet all local, federal, and state requirements. And condition C17 above, which was the first one. So a very minor change there. And then providing protection and notice required under the requirements noted above. So there are, in the state blasting regulations, as you're aware, there are notification requirements from a certain distance of where the blasting is going to occur. Pre-blast surveys occur as well. And so we just wanted to tie that in terms of compliance. Number 13 was the only condition that we wanted to have a further discussion with you on. I actually had a rewrite of that. Give me 1 second. And this, if I may.
No, go right ahead. Yeah. Ooh, watch out.
You may approach the bench.
You may approach the bench, but believe me. Okay.
This is a condition that we worked on this afternoon with Mr. Loverser and also our traffic engineer as well, to just...
So this is different than the 13 here.
Yes, it is.
Okay, take us through it. And
We read the same things over and over.
So basically, this is related to the traffic signalization timing at the corner of Route 109 and Birch Street intersection. Basically, we just wanted to clarify that the applicant is going to prepare the necessary plans and documentation to correct the signalization timing for that intersection. Again, to improve the level of service and reduce the queuing on Birch Street. And those would be submitted to Mass DOT and Milford Engineering Department. The Mass DOT may or may not have jurisdiction over this, so that's why we put both in there. So if Mass DOT is not applicable, then we just proceed directly to the Engineering Department for their approval.
You have an approval agency to go to.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and those improvements would be undertaken and implemented prior to occupancy of any of the units to ensure that those traffic timing improvements are implemented. And then after those improvements are implemented and after all the certificates of occupancy are issued, we wanted to give some time for full occupancy to occur. And so within 12 to 24 months after full occupancy, we'd undertake a further study and to provide a traffic analysis to ensure that the timing and signalization that we had thought was necessary was actually working the way that we anticipated it to work. So as part of that analysis, the applicant would prepare a report, and if the conditions indicate that the intersection is in worse condition than it was originally, then the applicant would submit proposed changes to the signalization and for review and approval, and then implementation within 6 months after approval.
So what was the, if you look at both of them, the item that you excluded from it on the conditions from what Mr. Moody had talked about was the to ensure that emergency vehicles are not obstructed exiting the Milford Fire Department on Birch Street, correct?
Yeah, that was a part of it.
No, that's fine. I mean, I just want to make sure the members understand. So you've taken that out.
Right.
And
excuse me? Yeah, that piece, yeah.
yeah, you're not if I read this, you're not responsible to make sure that emergency vehicles have access to Birch Street. That falls with the fire department and the town of Milford to do something, right?
Well, I would say it goes beyond that. Really, the issue that we have here is that the first way it was drafted is that it's actually a real impediment to be able to even get financing on the project, because the way it was written was very open-ended. And in talking to our traffic experts, those little words make a big difference, because who's going to say that we're impeding the emergency vehicles? The only thing that we can actually do a study on is the intersection, is the lighting, is the queuing getting longer than we anticipated or longer than we thought and what we proposed to you guys? And if that happens, then I've always proposed that I would want to step up to the plate and try to fix the queuing so that it's performing the way we hoped it would work. But some of the things that were in the original one, it just led us down a path that none of us in this room could ever figure out. Are we causing that? Is that really a problem for the fire department?
Right.
So we really tried to put it so that, we're sticking to our word that we said that we believe that the fixes we're doing are what's required, and if it's not, we'll adjust the queuing. But at the same time, we're not suggesting that we're going to go in there and completely rip up and do that intersection all over again and put another $1 million into lights and things like that, because it just wouldn't be practical, and it wouldn't even be something that I could, look you in the face and tell you that I'd do that.
Right. I think this is an important issue. I'd just like to ask any board members if they want to add anything to what they've heard right now on this.
Regarding taking out the fire department emergency vehicles being able to get out, it doesn't matter if we put 700 units in, it's not going to be, if there's a car there, they got to pull over and sign it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's not something I don't have a problem with that being taken out of this.
Okay. Okay.
But I do question where I see, making some initial changes that you're anticipating you're going to need. Is that correct?
Yeah, what we tried to do there was we just wanted to incorporate in this paragraph the work that we've already agreed that we're going to be doing. So we've already done that traffic study. We know that we're going to be doing that turn lane at the other end of Birch Street and Beaver, and that's somewhere in that plan.
Yes, it is. I'd say.
And then we wanted to specifically say that, you know, we wanted to be clear that it didn't look like we were going to do nothing at that intersection until after 12 months and then figure out what kind of message. We're going to do what we have anticipated it needs and then readdress it once it's fully occupied. I talked to Ron Mueller. He said, you know, it's not going to help to have you go out there the day after you rent the last unit. You know, you really need to let it cycle through a few, you know, he thought a year to 2 years, which is why we put it in there. I mean, if that's something you want to change, that I have no issue with that. I just went based on his recommendations.
All right, you're going to make the initial adjustments based on the traffic study.
Yes,
Okay,
before we get the first occupancy permit.
That's right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Okay.
And
Then you've got 12 months, you're anticipating making a second adjustment.
Yeah, again, Ron Mueller, the traffic expert, said you should really put in there 12 months to 24 months to give it a little bit of a range to make sure, you know, everything's flowing and you know which traffic patterns are happening.
What I would like to see, and it's up to the other board members also, I'd rather have it maybe possibly be readdressed at 6 months, at full occupancy, to avoid the town screaming, oh my God, it's so backed up down there, if that does occur. So at least it was addressed at a 6-month level if it needs to be addressed. If it does not need to be addressed, by all means, it's a waste of time. You don't address it when you address it. But I think having a 6-month look at it is, I think, the way to go to keep the townspeople happy and let them know that you're actually staying on top of this.
So you want to change that perhaps to from 12 months and 24 months to 6 months and 18 months?
No, I want to go 6 months all the way to 24. So the initial double check after the traffic study would be 6 months to see if it's needed. It may not be needed. It may your initial adjustments may be perfect. And we don't know when you're going to actually be at full capacity. It could be in the middle of the winter. It could be in the middle of the summer. It could be holiday weekends. All of a sudden, you know, everybody's taking off at one time. You don't know.
Which is why Ron Mueller, the traffic expert, recommended that we should do it sometime after 12 months.
Right.
I didn't want it to look like it was going out forever, so he said call it 12 months to 24 months.
Which will give you indications as to what seasonal problems you may have.
Exactly. It should go one full cycle, and then you'll know what's...
But if you're having a problem within a 6-month period, we're going to hear about it. So I'd like to see, if necessary, if it needs to be addressed, that you're willing to address it. I'm not saying it's going to be, you know, it's not going to be needed, but I'd like to see that 6-month review, so to speak. You see what I'm getting at? So if you happen to hit the high period and you're at full occupancy, it may need to be addressed quicker than 12 months. Rather than a full cycle.
I think what happens is when you get these situations, immediately they're saying, what happened, and so forth. So what he's suggesting is that look at it at 6 months, see what's going on. If there's no problem, then go to the 24-month. If there's problems occurring, we wouldn't like to see it not looked at the 6 months, and as the problems keep going, I mean, I think it's your benefit too, to take a quick look at it in 6 months and say, okay, there's an issue there or there isn't.
That's fine unless you want to say something like, unless requested by the town sooner, it shall be performed within...
I'm fine. Is everybody fine with the 6 months, board members?
Or within 6 months, that's fine too.
Yep, I see agreement there. That's good.
I mean, and if it's an issue, then you address it. At least it's showing the good faith and the goodwill that you're addressing this and not saying, okay, well, I said we're not going to do anything for 12 months, so we're going to let the problem continue.
Good. Okay.
So then I guess the revised language would say within 6 months after occupancy certificates have been issued for all units?
6, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everything else stays the same. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The emergency vehicle part of it, I have no issue with it being taken out of the...
Okay. All right. Any other board members have any comments on this issue? Okay. All right. Are there any others that... I think you've gone through most of what Jerry had proposed on special...
Yes, and there was an Exhibit D that would be attached, and that's the sketch plan, the aerial sketch plan.
We'll have to revise that.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But I think that sums it up.
If the board approves this tonight, which I'm not please just, just whether if they will or won't. So if they do approve it tonight, or whenever they approve it, then you and I will work up a final draft and put on, make sure everything is in there. Like the Exhibit Ds, make sure the exhibit's there, and we have to get that all ready for signature, so.
Okay, and that'll come back to us and for
Well,
signature.
actually, no, you'll take, when you take a vote tonight or the next
Yep.
night, but you'll take a vote to approve it and authorize the chairman to sign the final draft. which-
Okay.
Just as we did the last one.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Okay, now, I think as we look at all of it, if I could summarize where we've been, okay? One of the things has been the water, but you know that in there you can't start getting any permits, even for foundations, unless there's been an agreement with the Milford Water Company that water is available to you. The other thing was the sewerage situation, and according to the Tate and Howard letter, improvements were going to be made to the pump station that's there now, and you have agreed to do that.
And actually, Mr. Mainini asked us for something in writing, which we did.
Okay, okay. So, as I see it right now, and before we go to any proposed votes, have you got any more information you want to share with us? Okay. Is there any board member that wants to propose any more information? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this? Okay. All right. Okay. Given that, I would entertain a motion. And Jerry, will you state that motion?
Yeah, you should. If it sounds like you're going to vote to approve it, the draft decision as submitted with the conditions discussed tonight, and the changes with myself working with others to prepare a final decision for signature by the chairman.
Right.
That sounds like what you're going to do.
Would somebody like to make that motion? Anyone want to second that? Second. All those in favor? Aye. So approved.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Go home.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yes.